right, so we're Scoop TV, latest edition. We haven't done it for a couple of days, and we're here with USC offensive lineman Jason Rodriguez. And Mark, why don't you take it away from there?
Jason, thanks for joining us.
No problem.
Yeah, one of the things that I like about our show that we do is we like to personalize it, and we keep it very informal, really raw.
Yeah.
We just like to talk to people, especially the players that don't get a lot of attention. And you're one of the bigger guys on the team, so you might deserve a little bit more attention.
Wow.
Can you take us back through how you came about joining USC, the recruiting process, the first coach that introduced themselves to you?
I remember they were my, I think, 15th or 16th author. I got them pretty late into my junior year.
Mm-hmm.
I think in March. And the first coach I ever met was Gavin. I remember I seen Gavin at the spring camp,
Okay.
and he was the first person I met. But then I remember we were trying on I think it was a junior day. We were taking pictures with jerseys, and I think it was Katie at the time. She was like, "Oh, Helton wants to talk to you," and I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." So I go up, talk to Helton, and I brought my parents with me too. And he just offered me right there. And I knew it was home, but my mom agreed with me that it was nice because, she left it to me to decide, but I always asked her, I was like, "Did you like it?" And she's like, "Yeah." And she said USC was the closest one. And we both felt that way. So plus it's close to home. So I can't really complain,
Of course not. I know in some of my conversations with your parents and your dad particularly, he's always been very outspoken about the campus trips and the official visits that you took during the recruiting process.
Right.
And how important it was that they showed you and talked to you more than just about football.
Right.
What part of USC impressed you the most, obviously outside of football?
Definitely the fact that they made me feel like I know it sounds cliche and everybody says it, but I felt like I was at home, Because normally when you go to a different place, you have that weird, what am I doing here kind of. But over there, it just felt like I was in my backyard kind of. So it kind of just felt natural to me. Also, the USC is kind of like its own town in itself, campus is surrounded in LA. So I kind of like that containment in a way because it makes me feel like everything's close, but it's far enough,
Right.
I just like how it's set up and where it's at. So
I remember one of the things you said was that you liked the fact that you could walk to everywhere on campus in 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, it doesn't take that long. Plus I have an electric skateboard, so I get there in 2 minutes. It's so nice. You can wake up 5 till and so yeah.
Jason,
it's good that it's good to know that 30 years later kids are exactly like we were in college, except different devices to ride around on.
Yeah.
It's pretty much USC, the campus is pretty much the opposite of UCLA.
It is.
Yeah.
I had to have a scooter at UCLA.
Yeah, Jason, I don't know if you ever looked at them as well, but I mean, the campus is
Yeah, it's a nice campus, but it's different,
Yeah.
I feel like it's way more open than SC is.
Were there any visits that you took where you were enjoying yourself and then all of a sudden, maybe something happened, you're like, whoa, this wasn't kind of what I expected, or you were able to say, you know what, I can tell what's real and who's faking it?
Not to hit on the program, but I kind of felt like that with Oregon.
Oh.
I went up there with Oregon in, I believe it was that April.
Okay.
Unofficial. And it was nice. Don't get me wrong, their campus is beautiful. But then they started showing me oh, you get free shoes, you get this, you get that, and they focus more on what you get beneficially, more than or beneficially through money and gifts and items, rather than what you should be focusing on, which is the grades and academics and stuff like that. So once they started pushing that on me, I was like, okay, it's nice, but it's not what I was doing.
And it just brings me back to the point why it's so important to take these visits, because, these coaches, they're going to sweet talk you, and they're going to tell you what they think you want to hear. But it's the relationship building where the coaches figure out what you really want to hear and what you need to hear.
Right.
And I think that's what's going on at USC right now. Maybe you want to elaborate on some of that new energy and vibe with the new coaching staffs that have come in over the last couple of years.
I'd love it. Todd came in the first day. He's pumped, and we're all looking at him like, who's this guy? He's just running around screaming at everybody. And we didn't like him. Oh, I didn't like him at first, but then I understood like how he was, and he's like one of my favorite coaches now. So I like the new energy that's in there. I think it was a good change that we needed.
Blake.
Hey, Jason, I'm Blake, by the way. Nice to meet you, man. So you've been at USC for a little bit now.
Mm-hmm.
How would you describe what it's like to people watching this, being a student athlete at USC?
It's definitely tough at first, because I remember when I first got there, I suffered. I was like 30, 40 pounds overweight. I wasn't used to waking up at 6 a.m. So it's definitely a rough transition at first if you're not prepared like I was. But once you start getting in the hang of it, it's kind of, you just put it in cruise control, you just keep going. So it looks hard at first, but once you get into the groove of things, it's not that hard.
What's been your favorite part of that process?
Of just like being a student athlete?
Yeah. And you talked about sort of like adapting to it. Like, what's something that you really enjoy now that you sort of are in the hang of it?
I used to hate like half of our strength staff. I used to like dislike them to the max, but then I kind of realized like why they're there and what they're trying to improve me on, and so I love them now. I think that was one thing that changed from when I got there. But yeah.
Well, Christian Tupou, I hope you were plugged your ears up on that one.
Though I can relate to that, Jason. A little small anecdote from my end. I used to coach high school basketball, and for me, it was probably the most gratifying thing I've ever done in my life.
Right.
I was the head freshman coach, and I was the top assistant at the varsity level. Long story short, I took the freshman team to their championship game. We lost, and I took the loss really hard. And I got this phone call from one of my players 2 hours after the game. I was sitting at home watching the film. And his message was, you know what? We hated you when you took over the team.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't like the way you went about it. But because we understand why you were doing it, I'm ready to go to the next level. And I think that was the message what you were conveying right there, that sometimes it's not right there in front of you, but over time, it appears. Yeah.
I agree.
What I'm curious about is because we've talked the whole recruiting thing while you were going through it, and so you've been at USC now for an extended period of time, and there have been a lot of changes, and we'll probably be talking about that in more areas. But what I'm curious to know is between, let's say, the end the Holiday Bowl loss and right now, maybe until the beginning of spring practice. Right now, you guys are doing a bunch of virtual stuff, but what changes have you seen in the last 4 or 5 months at USC? When did you start seeing them, and when did you start going, wow, I really like this, or I really like that? Was there anything, that stands out, like major changes?
For major changes, I would definitely say the new defensive staff when they came in, because to me, it felt like they bumped the energy levels in practice up a lot, So I think that, and then our strength staff just kicked it up 10 levels during spring. Like that, those were pretty intense months. But yeah, I'd probably just say those two, the strength staff and the new defensive staff coming in.
You mentioned you came in at a certain body weight. Where are you at right now? What are your measurables?
I'm weighing about 320 yesterday, and I think I'm 6'7". I'm not too sure, but we'll just go for 6'6". But when I got to SC, I was almost 350. I think I was like 344, and I had to drop before camp, which was in like 2 months. And it was just terrible. I went through fall camp still dropping. So, like, I was trying not to eat a lot, but then I'd get headaches and go back and forth. So, I hated fall camp.
Well, so does everybody else.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's probably hard living at home with your dad not eating a lot. I mean.
Oh, yeah, I know. When the barbecue's always hot, But I mean, My mom cooks all the time too. It's good. So her cooking is a little more suitable because I can eat it in like smaller portions, you know. But if the barbecue's there, I'm gonna eat it all.
That's awesome. You know,
Jason,
speaking
a-
of, oh, go ahead, Blake.
after being on the field now and in the program for a little bit, what's something you feel like you've improved upon the most?
Probably my being coachable. I remember in June, I was like, I wasn't really up for coaching. Like I kind of thought like, oh, I have my passe, you know, I have my own type of style. It's fine. And then I just like completely changed after season because I realized like, well, even during season, like mid-season, I realized like I need to be more coachable, you know, because I was always just stuck on my ways and what I was comfortable with rather than doing what they were trying to teach me. So once I became more coachable, I think that's when it started to change.
Was there a specific coach that really got that across to you?
Coach Drebno, probably the most. Once I started going in early for meetings and stuff like that, I started to learn more and understand what he was talking about a little bit better. So I would probably say Drebno.
What roles have Coach Vianney and Lenny helped you out with?
V. Oh, I love V. V is one of us. We don't look at him as a GA. He's one of us. Lenny's my favorite guy. He's always hyping me up in the weight room. I love Lenny too. So I think they're more. They've helped me like. I would say keep focused on what I need to do. Because I remember when I was dropping weight on that Versa climber in the weight room, Lenny was always there, like, hey, you know, good job, keep going. And so they were always there keeping me going. So I would say they keep me focused.
I'm sure you're aware of the history of the players that have come before you and have worn the numbers, the jersey numbers. How did you get number 77? Was it offered to you? Did you ask for it? Just happenstance?
I did ask for it. I remember when Helton came to bring me my NLI, I asked him if I could have it, and he said, hey, if it's open, it's open. But if it's not and someone else wants it, you're not getting it. So I was like, hey, that's fair, you know, seniority. I totally get it. But I did ask for it, yes. Well, because Elijah already had my number. It was a 75, so I had to get a different one. But I'm cool with it. 77 works perfect, and I'm honored to wear it.
Who was worn 77 at USC? Or did I miss something? I was answering a text.
Anthony Munoz was the first person I thought of. You know, yeah, I've seen that guy. I've seen his old film. It's crazy.
You've got a good number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you had the chance?
Did I introduce you to Anthony Munoz in San Antonio?
I don't believe so.
No.
I don't think.
Oh, Justin Diedick. Sorry, I like Justin better apparently.
Anthony came to one of our tailgates a few years ago, and I'm not sure if you know this, but he also played baseball at USC.
I was aware of that, yes.
And when we shook hands, first of all, my hand disappeared. So I'm trying to visualize a baseball in that hand, and that dude on the pitching mound throwing at me. Yeah, pretty scary. Huh?
Tangerine, you know, the cuties, like throwing
right? So whose idea was it? You know, you guys are having to work out at home now and try and stay in shape. Whose idea was it to come up with the speaker stacks that you were lifting? And when somebody asks you what you're lifting now, do you answer them in measurements of speaker stacks or regular stacks?
No, I usually just tell them, well, because I have these old beer kegs that we used to have. And I just filled them up with water and capped them, and those are my weights. So I usually just say that. I don't tell them I'm squatting base stacks and stuff. So. They're gonna be like, what's that? You know? But I usually just tell them I use old beer kegs to lift them.
Jason, being at home now for a while, what's that been like for you back? I would assume where you grew up, right?
Yeah, mostly. I grew up like I'd say half in San Bernardino and then half up here. But it's nice, you know. I think it's like you don't want to get too comfortable back home. But it's definitely nice being home, seeing my family every day, spending time. Kind of feels weird to be a normal student now, technically, you know. I don't have meetings every day, and so it's nice.
Right. And I see that Spider-Man poster behind you. Are you a Avengers person or what's going on?
Baby blanket, dude. Dude, I love Spider-Man. It's just like a blanket, and then my window's behind it, so it looks like a pillow.
Yeah.
I never.
I'm curious about the really technical stuff. Like, who do you spend your time with when you're at USC? Who were the guys that you gravitated to?
As far as like free time outside, or
yeah. I mean,
probably,
free time, or maybe you guys get together and look at film or what, I don't know, whatever.
yeah, the O-line, we should get together, have a barbecue every now and then. But I usually hang out with Gino. Gino's right on top of me in my building, so I'm always with him. Drake London and Sean Mahoney and Keenan, they're all in my room. They're all my roommates, so I usually just, whatever they're doing, I'm doing. Whatever I'm doing, they're doing. So usually those 5.
You know, so far, has there been any particular moment on the field at USC that sticks out for you in your mind? In your limited time, obviously.
Right. I think when Drake first scored I think it was when they both first scored their touchdown. Me and Sean were going crazy, and that's when it hit like they live with me, you know. But it's just, I remember me and Sean were like on the bench flipping each other over. We were going crazy. So I think that was probably the funnest time. When they came back, you know, we hyped them up and all that. So that was good.
Have you gotten a lot of feedback from that little moment where you were caught? And the unfortunate thing when JT got hurt and camera kind of caught you going by, doing a little blessing him.
Oh, that was uncalled for. You know, I was just mad. I couldn't control my anger. But you know, he's talking. Oh, my bad.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, no, that was such a great. You're catching me off guard there.
I'm talking about BYU.
Oh yeah, that's the picture I took.
Yeah.
Not on purpose.
Can you ask the question again? I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, one of the things that stands out for me, and it was just the camera caught it when JT Daniels, who was being helped off the field,
right?
And you just happened to be walking by, and you were kind of blessing him with, you know,
right.
Did you get a lot of feedback from that? Because it was such a visceral, real moment.
Thank you. I know my mom did. I know she posted it, and everybody was saying like, "Oh, it's beautiful to see" and stuff like that. I wasn't trying to do it for TV. I just did it.
No,
yeah.
Like I said, the camera caught you. I don't think anybody knew.
Yeah, but I know my mom has.
That's when Mama knew she raised you right.
Hey, speaking of faith, man, like something that anybody that's around the USC football program knows that faith family football is really big. It's what Coach Helton really preaches to you guys. Can you kind of talk about that and what that mentality is like for you guys?
Oh yeah, I know during games there's always mass the day we get there at night right after meetings, so you can always go to those. Every Monday, he always says a prayer, you know, make sure Sunday is the Lord's Day, you know, say a prayer to God, be thankful for what you have. So he definitely puts it in there, but you don't feel like it's forced on you, you know? So I think he incorporates it very well.
You're quickly becoming one of the leaders off. You know, you might not be maybe one of the more vocal guys yet. I kind of sense you have that in you.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the stories that was relayed to me recently was the halftime scuffle during the Notre Dame game.
Yeah.
Where maybe Coach Helton thought you were running out there to get involved, but you were actually running out there to maybe protect one of your teammates. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I definitely thought I was going to go out there and scuffle, but no. No, I've had a teammate on my high school team get hurt that way. I think he broke his ankle. So like it just kind of kicked in like, oh, you know, go get your boy. But yeah, I'll always do that. It's not worth getting in the halftime fight and risking something. But yeah.
Do you remember what happened? What caused that friction? What was the trigger?
I believe it was the center of Notre Dame grabbed, I want to say Jay, in his genitals.
Whoa.
And we were talking about it when they were walking off the field, I think. And one of the Notre Dame players was like, "What?" You know, they just started talking to each other, and then they started walking towards each other, and then I was like, "Oh, okay, it's gonna go down." So we all seen it and took off. Same thing they did. So they just started talking. That's how it went.
You know, I love that rivalry and that intensity is still there between these two programs.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you guys are missing not being around each other right now. So what's the first thing you plan on doing when they say, come back?
Definitely moving in the new apartment that I'm going to give Gino and Stan. Definitely doing that. Might throw a little party, you know, just a little get back party. But no, once we're back, we're going to be all together anyway. So we're just going to, you know, keep going, keep grinding.
Do you get
when you guys have these virtual meetings? What's your schedule with the USC coaching staff?
Well, we just got back on because finals. So we had one yesterday. Excuse me. So usually Tuesday, Thursday is O-line meetings about 2:30, but then I'll meet extra with Drev Monday, Friday at like 1:30. And usually we have team meetings every Monday at 5. And those are all the meetings that I usually have.
And what do you? It's the first meeting of the week. You're with Drevno, Viane. What are you guys looking at?
Usually it's during finals, those wellness checks. But normally we look at old film from last year or a few years ago. We might look at different Alabama games since we were scheduled to play them first. We looked at different opponents they went against. You know, just looking at the basics, you know, what is the D-line doing? What do they like to do? What front they run and all that. But we usually just looked at old film and stuff like that. Is
it easy to do? The reason I'm asking this is I was looking at what Cortland Ford was showing me, what the coaches are giving him, because he has his own meetings with the coaches as well. I don't know if maybe he's part of your room. I don't even know. But, I mean, it looks like it's actually manageable. I mean, you're looking at film and they have way of telestrator and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's pretty detailed and elaborate.
Yeah, it's not too bad. You'd think it'd be worse, but it's not bad. I know, like, he shows drills, like what we should do for drills sometimes, the PVC pipe. So those are helpful too. It kind of keeps your mind fresh on football, if you would.
Jason, with the new coaches that have come in and some of the guys you have coming off redshirt years and injuries and things like that, what do you think is a realistic expectation for how good USC can be in 2020?
I definitely believe that we're going to be as great as we can be with what we have. I'm not too sure who's coming off redshirt years and who's coming off injuries, but I know, like, we're going to make it work with what we can, and that's really all you can do. You know, I'm not going to set a standard that I don't think we can hit. I'm going to set the standard that I know we can hit.
Internally, do you guys have a lot of discussions about year 2 of Graham's offense and sort of what you're looking to see out of that?
As far as that, I usually just not really, to be honest. I just do what Drev tells me to do and don't say anything about it. So
I think that's a perfect segue for my question. Obviously, they've been having you on the right side. But, you know, in high school, you played left tackle and you're pretty good at it. Do you feel more comfortable on one side versus the other? And I know you're going to say I'll play wherever they want me to, but if you have to choose, do you prefer?
I do feel comfortable more with left just because I played it for 4 years straight.
Right.
But like I said, I'll play wherever he wants me to. But left does feel much better. I'm a little bit more quicker, and my natural instincts kick in a little faster.
Well, let me ask you this: as a right-hander,
right?
Isn't it easier to kick out the left than it is to kick out the right? I mean, if that's what you're constantly training.
I'm actually left-footed. That's why I think left tackle is much easier.
Yeah. So that okay.
Yeah, I kick with my left, and so that's probably why I'm a little bit faster.
I mean, that's how I would look at it because I know that's how I would be.
Right.
That would just come naturally.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the challenges for it? Last question, but I want to follow. What are the challenges for you at right tackle? Is it just the uncomfortable part of it, or is there a technical part of it you need to get used to as well?
Probably weight distribution. I'm not used to shifting my weight and keeping my weight in one spot on the right, just because, I've only done it for so long. But it's definitely something I can improve upon. But I would probably just say keeping my weight centered and staying
Mm-hmm.
healthy. That'd probably be the challenge. Because I can kick out fast enough and, get to where I need to be. But I think it's just the balance.
All right, Mark, I cut you off.
Yeah, and I forgot where I was going to go with that. So,
we're old.
Trust me, I'm feeling it too. So, I'm going back to the nutrition program.
Right.
They send you these packages. Is it weekly? Is it daily? How does it show? And do you put in an order for the type of food you want, or do they just send it to you?
No. So it'll be like it'll be weekly, and they'll send you a box full of like snacks, like Nutri-Grain bars, beef jerky, peanut butter, and then every week they'll send a big box of like pre-made meals and stuff. So it'll be like a package or like 4 servings of brown rice, white rice. You don't really put in an order; they just send it, and then you cook with what you can. Yeah, they're it's good food. You got to heat it up a little bit and put a little spice on it, but it's not bad.
Okay. Because I was thinking, we might have to put a little bit of production value into this, but I think for your next video training that you want to put out there and show everybody, maybe we get a cow, drag it around the block a couple times, take it to your local butcher, let them do what they need to do, and then you go do Rocky. You tenderize it, and then you carry a half a cow back home, slap it on the barbecue, and let Dad go to work for you.
That'll work.
Okay. But the other thing, actually, on that same note, are you guys as offensive linemen doing anything as a group to just to hang out and have fun when you're online or whatever, when you're not talking about football?
I know a lot of the guys play games together, but we're all pretty like spread out to hang out, I guess. But no, we're all real close. We all, like I said, play games with each other. I know the guys who live close together will go work out or maybe hike together, something like that. So we're all pretty close.
How often are you getting updates on plans to potentially go back and maybe practice in the summertime?
Usually Helton will say something every Monday. He'll probably give us an update, or if there is no update, he'll tell us on like what's the conversation going on. Or he'll tell us like the plan that they want to do. And so usually it comes from him. If I don't find an article.
What was the update this week, out of curiosity?
I know he said we're in phase 2 or something. But I don't know.
All right. He must live in Orange County.
Yeah.
We're in phase 0. Sorry. We're LA. Anyway, don't mind me.
What was you said you just finished up finals? What was your favorite class you took this semester?
I would probably say my English class, Gustafsson. It's like emotional intelligence. It's not really like, I don't view it as a class. You don't really. I mean, you do work, but when he taught it, it was pretty funny. He's really. Really,
what is? Oh, tell us what it is, because emotional intelligence. Just don't be a dumbass, essentially. Or
like all the readings, and stuff, basically on just like how to like look at and evaluate your emotions, kind of. And so he'll give us a bunch of examples from all his books, and it's really funny because he's always energetic and like moving around and screaming at people. So like
me.
Yeah, you don't fall asleep in the class. Not that I do. But no, he's a good professor. I like him. He loves the athletes. He's always talking to me, emailing me one-on-one and stuff like that. So he's a good professor. He's one of those professors that I think like truly cares and like loves what he does, rather than just feeding the. What I mean?
What are you majoring in at SD, Jason?
Right now it's business and RED, real estate development. It was genealogy, and then I looked at the math requirements for that, and I was like, I'm gonna switch it. But not too sure, but that's what it is right now.
Not bad. Scott, anything?
Well, yeah, I like to be nosy. But all right, so years ago when I first started covering the USC football team, across Jefferson there was a Burger King, a Subway. Down towards Fig was a Denny's. They blew up this crappy mall, and now you've got this beautiful place where you live, and all these surrounding restaurants have been built up. Are there places you've got somebody going, hey, Jason, I'm going to be at USC. I need somewhere I need to go get something to eat. Where are there go-to places around USC right now?
Right now, I don't know if they're open because I haven't been over there. Right.
In 2020.
The pasta place on the campus is really nice. It's like Il Gardino. They're good. Cava's really good. But if I had to recommend a spot, it'd be Dulce, right across from me. They have some really good burritos and donuts as well.
Oh, they have burritos there?
Yeah, they have a steak.
I did not know that.
Okay, I'm writing this.
That was like
check.
Me on campus.
And Cava, I've not been there yet, but I guess it's like it's a Chipotle but Mediterranean.
Yeah, it's really good. Oh, I don't think it's Chipotle because I don't like Chipotle. So, but yeah, it's.
I mean, it's like you build a bowl, right?
Right.
It's like the Chipotle style. I meant not.
No, yeah.
Not quality. It's higher quality than that.
Yeah.
Well, shame on you. I go to Chipotle. It may suck, but I go there.
Cava's real nice. Plus, it's on red card too, so we always see guys in there, getting 2-3 bowls.
Yeah. All right, another double check.
Exactly.
So let's go back. We're going to go back to the workouts, and this is going to go to where your weight has gotten to. How long did it I mean, was this a process that you started with the weight loss the day you got to USC, or was it sometime into what was the time frame on you getting to where you are at 320 from 350?
It was like the first 2 months, and that's when I dropped all the way down because I've maintained it since then.
Yeah.
But I would probably say the first 2 months from like the start of our summer camp right into like the middle of fall camp is when I think I hit weight. And after
the body fat part too, like that. I mean, when you talk about getting yourself in shape and you start dropping the bad weight and put on the good weight, you've lost a lot of bad weight and you're maintaining, but you've also gotten stronger. So where's the body fat part? Do you know what that is? From a lot of guys, like running backs always know. Receivers, they always know. Yeah, I went from 2% to.
Oh, body fat percentage?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I don't really.
You're a lineman, but I mean, sometimes like Drake Jackson's probably starting to pay attention to that. He's getting himself in shape and.
Probably. I have no clue, to be honest. If I had to guess, I'd probably say it's like 15 to like 19, maybe somewhere in there. I'm not.
But I mean, what do you think you dropped percentage-wise?
Oh,
because I can tell. I see you all the time. I've seen you in high school.
There's a noticeable difference.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I really couldn't tell you. I don't know.
Yeah.
I had it done before, or I've never paid attention to it, so I really have no clue.
It's significant, though, right? I mean,
yeah, definitely. I remember. It's all on my face. You can see it in my face. It's either my face or my back. But yeah, when I was dropping, you could see like I started to see it at least.
Well, so the part that was working out, obviously, you're in a strength and conditioning program. When you get to USC, what were the dietary changes? Was there something you eliminated? Or just eat less?
Yeah, I remember the strength staff. I don't remember when they came in, but they started coming to breakfast and checking our breakfast because they check you for breakfast. You got to like check in with a little fingerprint. And I remember Big Tony, Ty Webb, he came in and looked at my plate. He's like, dude, what are you eating? And I'm like, breakfast? Yeah, I had like 4 pieces of chicken and like a fat stack of eggs. And I think I had like a bunch of bacon too. He's like, dude, cut it down. I'm like, all right. But I wouldn't say there was much like dietary change. I think it was just more exercise.
Okay.
I'd do the normal strength training, and then I'd go to class and do all that stuff. And then I'd go into the weight room and get on the Versa climber, the mountain climber machine. And I'd do that for about 30 minutes. And that's like what started chipping away at the weight. So.
When you're doing your line drills, offense versus defense, which defensive lineman tends to frustrate you or give you the hardest time or make you work, makes you work hard to improve your game? And there might be more than one.
Good question. I'd probably.
Is Drake Jackson any good?
Oh yeah, no. Me and Drake always go at it. It's so funny. I'd probably say if there's anybody that like irritated me, it'd probably be Caleb. Caleb's so fast, and you never know what he's gonna do. We call him the Tasmanian Devil because he's just like ripping around.
At some point, that kid is going to blow up. I don't know when it's going to happen or why, but I'm telling you, Caleb is a baller.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense because one of the first players that Coach So'oto mentioned during his introduction press conference was Caleb Tremblay.
He did. Leadership too, right?
Right. So, to hear one of Caleb's peers bring him up in that capacity, that kind of brings the conversation full circle, at least for us who were in that room.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. He's crazy. Him and it's either Hunter or Hunter. Me and Hunter have gone at it a bunch of times.
Speaking of Hunter, who talks more, he or his biggest supporter?
I'd probably say him.
Wow.
Every time I look, he's talking to somebody. He's doing something.
Hey, Jason, have you been watching The Last Dance?
Nah, I don't know what that is.
All right, it's the Michael Jordan documentary about the Chicago Bulls in the 90s.
I've seen it, but I haven't watched it. No.
Got it. I was just going to ask a question out of that. Michael Jordan was a guy that talked a lot of trash, right? But he did it. He did it to motivate his teammates. So I'm just wondering, is there anybody on the football team in practice that just talks and talks and talks, but you guys know that they're doing it to make you guys better?
I'd probably say J-Mac, Jalen McKenzie. Jalen's always talking to somebody. It's so funny because it motivates all of us when he starts. But, yeah, I'd probably say J-Mac.
I feel you.
Yeah. And it's not like it's bad. It works. It gets everybody going, especially if we're going like when we're going like full pads and stuff and we're live. It's fun.
What do you look forward to the most? Let's say we're going back to the beginning of spring practices. Right. What were you looking forward to the most every day? Because there's been times where guys have talked about at USC like they really looked forward to going to practice because the competition level was so high. But there's other stuff too. Were there stuff like, let's say Wednesday was a certain day, it's like, oh man, I can't wait to go do that. Anything going on like that at USC?
I remember, I think my favorite thing was that we didn't have strength training and conditioning in one day. It was Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It was a 5-day schedule. So Tuesday, Thursday was conditioning. So that was fun. But I remember the first practice, it was so competitive compared to like what it was in fall, I would say. And not in a bad way or anything, but like just the energy levels were different. You could feel it, So probably that.
We hear that often. The energy level was higher. In what ways? How would you describe that? That it was.
Definitely, like I said, Todd. When Todd starts screaming, everybody starts screaming. Probably, yeah. It'd be Todd, and then Odo when he's going, and you could just see the defense like starting to kick up, and then we kick up. So like we kind of like feed off each other's energy. I don't really know how to explain it, but you could just like feel it.
Do you find yourself ever? You guys were obviously busy practicing yourself and going through reps and whatever, but at the same time, you guys, when you're not in reps, you're watching what's going on in practices. Are there some guys that you're watching, whether it be a receiver, a running back, a quarterback, a lineman, or anybody that you're like, wow, man, that kid's really, maybe they first time you notice them, but were there some guys you were really enjoying watching yourself personally?
Oh, definitely Austin. Austin was our guy. I always loved watching him going one-on-ones because I knew he was probably going to win. And it was him and then Drew. Drew Richmond helped me out a lot. I gave a lot of props to that guy. He helped me. He kind of took me under his wing and showed me a lot of stuff that I wasn't doing right. So, probably Drew and Austin.
Yeah.
Jason, you've talked a lot about Coach Orlando. And obviously he's a first-year coach, and with this coronavirus thing, like I think a lot of fans just they hear about him, but they don't really know a lot about him yet because he's in his first year. Is there an example you can think of, or like an anecdote of one of those times where he's gotten on you guys that really illustrates who he is that you can think of?
Mm. I remember the first day he came. He was sitting in the back, and Hilton said something. He's like, "Yeah, we're gonna get it right." We all turned around and we were like, "What the hell is that?" Like, I don't recognize that voice. And he was just back there, just not moving, not staying still. So he's crazy.
Which player do you think has grown or the most, or has taken the bull by the horn, so to speak, and really just bought in and says, you know what, I'm the leader now? In your opinion, who do you see that? Because I watched some of your winter conditioning drills, and I was noticing Jay Tufele. It's like, whoa, why is this big dude winning every single 100-yard rep that these guys are doing?
Mm-hmm. Probably for my position group, I would say Elijah. I always viewed Elijah as a leader. Him and Austin were like the two that I looked up to the most. So I'd probably say Elijah. I'm not too sure about defense, but I do remember Jay starting to win those reps. We were all like, what's he doing, you know?
Right, it was crazy.
Yeah. I definitely.
Okay, now on to your dad and barbecue.
Yeah.
What is, when he makes something you would consider a masterpiece, what is your cut? Are you tri-tip guy, a chicken guy?
Probably his ribs. His ribs are my favorite. I know my mom's tired of it, but I'd probably say the ribs, and then below that would be like the tri-tip.
You know, the favorite thing that I've ever had, everything I've had from your dad is unbelievable, but I swear to God, the best thing I've ever had is that brittle.
Yeah, everybody talks about it, you know. And it's just like, it doesn't look hard to make, so you don't think it'd be that good, but it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first day of spring practice, he came through and brought some for us, and
Yeah,
man,
tell me about it.
Speaking of,
He should sell in the bookstore.
since we're on that food tangent, you know, have you guys thought about doing a challenge amongst yourselves? You know, I saw your boy Liam Douglas. It looked like he put out that perfect pork butt.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to let Dad take all the glory? Or are you going to step in and start playing this game?
Well, I can't really say much because it's under the table, but we do have. All linemen do have something brewing.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll leave it there.
It's a little secret.
Stay tuned.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Has your dad told you what's he cooking this weekend, by the way? Yeah, he's back. There's like, he can stick his head in.
What are you cooking?
Is he over there? Have him come over here and say hey. Come over here and say hello. What's up?
What's smoking this weekend?
Probably I might do a pork butt. I'm not sure. Just to kind of jab at Liam for what he posted last week.
Ooh.
That's what we were just talking about.
I gotta get the hit back over the net, you know.
There you go. That bar, it's going up.
Today, but it's a little too windy, so we're just gonna have to wait and see tomorrow. When it's really windy, it's tough to smoke.
Yeah.
So
And you guys get a lot of wind.
Yeah.
It's windy. It's been windy for like the last couple of days, but either a pork butt or maybe even a brisket. I don't know yet.
Okay.
Coach Navier, he DM'd me this morning. He may hook me up on some sauce and some spice.
Coach Niver knows how to do it. I'm telling you, you guys might have to step up your game a little bit. And
Is Sniffin' Griffin? Can you guys get him involved in this whole challenge?
Yeah, I got to order the stuff online. I got to get the sauce. I'm going to try the OG rub and probably just the small bottle of the hot barbecue sauce. The spicy.
Oh yeah.
And I'm going to give that a whirl, see what happens. But I usually make my own rub. But
yeah.
This Saturday, either tomorrow or Sunday, I'll probably try a pork butt or maybe a brisket. I don't know. One of the two.
Nice.
I just like doing it.
I'm going to give you a chance to embarrass Jason a little bit. As a father, what's the probably the most proud moment you've had of him? And it doesn't even have to be athletically related.
There's been many, and you're going to lock me up right here. Basically seeing him being good to other people and the small things he does for complete strangers. You know, that makes me proud. He's made me proud dozens and dozens and dozens of times doing that. And it did. A lot of people don't have to see it. You know, it's just something small that he didn't have to do, you know. And I think all those moments, they're uncounted. There's so many of them I couldn't even tell you.
Yeah, we had the McLean brothers on last week with their mom, and that was one of the things that stood out was their selflessness of how much they just give.
Yeah.
And I don't think the fans and the Trojan family understand how much of that is really part of the evaluation process when these guys are being recruited. You know, how much of them do they give rather than are they just looking for themselves?
Yeah, I totally agree. And that was a big vibe that I got during the whole recruiting process with USC was it wasn't just about the talent. I think they were looking for I think they're still looking for kids with character. And, you know, I don't know if integrity is the right word because I think that takes time to develop, but they're looking for kids that want to develop that. And that kind of stuck out with me with Coach Helton. He's a sincere, genuine person. And I've dealt with, you know, customers for 30 years. I talk to a lot of different people and have to develop relationships with them. And I over the years, I've become a good read on people. And he's been the same guy since day one. So that gives me a really good feeling about the kind of kids he's looking for. Not just himself, but probably the direction he's giving these other coaches as well, to let them know that, you know, USC is looking for a certain kind of player and a certain kind of athlete and a certain kind of academic. And I think all three of them wrap around into one great thing that USC does for a lot of kids.
Scott, what's it like?
I was going to ask you guys both the same question before I forget, Blake. Otherwise, I'll forget. Are you both feeling the changes that we've seen in the athletic department? Is it just a complete overhaul and the direction that the athletic department or the leadership? I mean, Jason, are you noticing a difference in the athletic department at all? Or are you guys just going out and practicing and playing football just like always?
Like I was saying, the staff definitely helped. We changed it up a little bit with what we were doing during practice, which was good. But other than that, you know, I think it was at a pretty good standard that it already was and needs to be. So
I think the biggest change I saw was just an increase in communication. They talked to us in the past, you know, before about important stuff, but I think the little stuff is being communicated like this more effectively, and a lot of it's the positivity of the program, what the guys are going after, all the coaches being on board with recruiting. That's a decent change, and I think it's all for the best for the school and the football team.
Sorry,
Scott,
Glenn, go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Scott, what's it like watching your son play football at USC?
It's a dream come true. When he started playing football in high school, we didn't think it was going to end up like it is right now. You know, we just thought, you know, yeah, we're going to go watch a high school game, and then he got one offer, and then he got 5 offers, and then he got 10, and then 15, and just kept going. And he made the right decision going to the school he chose. And he had a good choice. You know, he had a decent amount of schools to go to, and you know, that was that's another thing that was cool about Coach Helton was, you know, there's a lot of coaches out there in D1 ball that maybe don't have the best interest in mind for your kid. And I'm not saying they're all like that, but Coach Helton, when we told him we wanted to take visits, he said, yeah, go for it, you know. And I think the way Coach Helton is the biggest reason why some of these kids came back, you know. And I think that that sincerity, genuineness is something that kids believe in, and especially if they're in a position to need to believe something like that. So we were really satisfied with it, and I couldn't be happier as a father and as a fan watching him play.
Can you talk more about something you just mentioned? You kind of touched on the journey part of it, right?
Mhm.
And no matter how talented your son or daughter is, to reach the D1 level in college sports is everybody has a journey. So can you talk more about what that journey has been like from your perspective for Jason?
It was a learning and a growing experience. It was life lessons that were wrapped inside of it, showing him how to find the value of his future, what decisions he had to make, what information he needed to gather to make that right decision. Going through the list and saying, okay, I checked this, I checked this, I checked this. This is where this school's at. I checked this, I checked it. Kind of going through and doing the homework of preparing himself for a future and a good life. And he did a very good job of it, and he picked the right school.
Well, yeah, I was just gonna say, one of the best answers I've heard during our interview so far this afternoon was how candid you were, Jason, where you said, I took to coaching. I'm coachable now, where you were maybe a little apprehensive
Right.
before. That's a huge growth step that I think your father was just talking about. And for you to recognize that and to admit it, because you're not going to hear a lot of players do that.
Yeah.
Ego gets in the way. To me, this is my biggest takeaway from today so far, other than, you're a great dude, to hear a young man say, you know what, I learned something. I have to listen to people who might know more than me.
Right.
That's a strong message.
Yeah. There's a lot of kids out there that don't want to hear that.
Right.
I think it's a vital tool. Humility and a willingness to learn to better yourself is something that I think is valued at USC. I really do.
Yeah, I try every day, and I know I tend to push back a little bit too. So,
but it's just a good venue for him to grow and learn in, and my wife and I are really happy.
No, as long as you keep preparing good food, I'll keep you on my wish list.
Yeah, thank you for that brittle, Scott. The first day of spring practice.
Yeah, I'll pack up some ribs and maybe a half a tri-tip. I'm not sure.
Hey man, ribs are my food too. Like I don't know, man. I owe
It's dangerous. I know how to get to their house.
Scott Schrader knows all, man.
Look for the smoke, man. Hey, peace out, guys.
All right. Thank you very, very much.
All right, Scott. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, hey, we're gonna have a commitment coming up here in the next. So I'm gonna
30, 40.
we're gonna end this, and we'll probably what I'll do is I'll get this out later tonight, or I'll send it to Mark, the link, a YouTube link, and you can put it together. But we'll wait until everything kind of is announced and let things settle down a little bit and put it out.
Perfect.
Yeah, and we're gonna look to have you on later again this year when things get back to normal. So
Okay, perfect.
After you win the Pac-12.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see you up there on the ladder holding that sword, Jason.
Thanks again, man. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, Blake.
Okay.
Right on,
Take
man.
care.
Mm-hmm.